Welcome to Magic Hour. I'm your host, Paul Chappell, and I'm going to make this quick because I'm about to go to Hilton Head, and I can't wait to get there. But I did see Spider-Man Far From Home yesterday, and this should go quickly because this is my no spoilers review. Hopefully, me and Kurt will be able to get together this weekend and talk about it a little bit more in depth. But it was a great movie, perfect summer film. Now, as far as Spider-Man films go, where does it rank in those, 6 now movies that Spider-Man has had on his own? I think Spider-Man 2 was probably the best Spider-Man movie ever. Emotionally, that movie still grabs me. Action-wise, it's probably going to be this movie, though. There is so much action in this film. You're not going to lack for that if you're a big action fan. So that's one good thing about it. I like the fact that they left New York. I think that whole calculation came from somebody at the studio or writers or directors. Somebody sat down and was like, what can we do to make Spider-Man fresh? And of course, first thing you want to do is get him out of New York, because we've had this is the 7th movie now that I think about it. We've had 6 movies of Spider-Man swinging around New York. So I like the fact that I got to see Spider-Man in Venice, in London, in Prague. That was interesting. It just made it fresh and interesting. Also, I think this is the first film where Spider-Man's actually on his own, but he's also an Avenger. So they go into that a little bit. They also incorporate a little bit of the snap into this movie. Now, they don't call it the snap. I guess this is not really a spoiler. They call it the blimp. The blip in this movie. But they do reference it in the beginning, and how all the characters who disappeared during the snap, they have to restart their school year. So, of course, Peter Parker's one of them. So that plays a little bit into the plot. And in fact, if you've seen the trailer, you know that they're going to introduce the multiverse concept into this movie. So there was a little bit of that. And I don't know whether I should say who the villain in this movie is. You probably already know. But if you looked at the trailer, it's maybe a little bit fuzzy, so maybe I shouldn't touch on that. I will say the biggest surprises in this film is at the very end. They reintroduce a character from the original Spider-Man trilogy. Yes, you heard me right. They reintroduce a character. Not as a joke. I'm pretty sure this character is going to appear in all the other movies, Spider-Man movies moving forward. But they reintroduced a character from the original trilogy, and it made a lot of sense. It made me very happy that they introduced this character. And like I said, I won't tell you who it is, but when you see this character, you will know. You will be like, that makes perfect sense. Oh my God, I can't believe they did it. But they did something at the end of this film also. Do not get up when the credits start rolling, because they had a mid-credit scene, and then they had a scene at the very end of the movie. You probably could skip the one at the very end of the movie. It's somebody's going to post it, I'm sure, on YouTube at some point. It's not that big a deal, but don't miss the mid-credit scene, because it opens up something. It opens up a dilemma for Spider-Man going into the next movie that I thought was very interesting. And they must have something already planned from that aspect. But what did not like about the movie? And like I said, this is not a spoiler. If you watch the last movie, you already know this going in. I'm not sure that I understood why Peter. Of course, Peter, the one good thing they got right about this series of Spider-Man movies is that they got Tom Holland, I think he was actually a teenager when he started filming the first Spider-Man. I don't know what his age is now, but he still looks like a teenager at any rate. And I like the fact that he looks like a teenager. They didn't get a 30-year-old man pretending to be a teenager. So that aspect of the film was good, because Spider-Man Peter Parker, I should say, goes through some things only a teenager would be having problems with. He has a crush on MJ, played by Zendaya. I don't know why she doesn't have a last name, but I guess she's just got it like that. But the MJ in this movie doesn't really make sense to me. And I'm not talking about the fact that MJ is being played by a Hispanic female. I have no problem with that. It's just the fact her personality is kind of off-putting. And I was like, I have a problem with this. I don't really understand why Peter Parker would be so attracted to this girl. She is very pretty. I'm not discounting that, but I was just like, why her? She was kind of one of those woke characters, and I don't have a problem with a woman being woke and having a sense of who she is or any of that. But she just had these dead-eye looks throughout the whole movie, like she did in the last movie. And I kind of had a problem with that. I kind of had a problem identifying with him because of that. But then I started thinking back. I was like, what personality did Kristen Dunst have in the original trilogy? What personality did Gwen Stacy have in the next trilogy? And the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy. And I started thinking about it, and I really couldn't remember what their personalities were, because, as you know, women in these movies aren't meant to have really a personality on their own. They're meant to be aspirational or something that the man wants to have. And the MJ in this movie kind of broke that mold for that very reason. But at the same time, even though I didn't understand why he was so obsessed with her, at the same time, I realized she showed more personality than MJ in the original trilogy and Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy. So on one hand, I had a problem with what they did with MJ. On the other hand, she was a lot more interesting than the MJ I remember from the original trilogy. So I don't actually know whether that's a bad thing or not, if you know what I'm saying. I guess maybe that's some of my sexism coming into play. I guess as a man, I'm not used to seeing a woman not being like cute or bubbly or something. I don't know what it was. So it challenged me. So on one hand, I couldn't identify with Peter Parker. On the other hand, her portrayal kind of challenged me. So that's a good thing, I guess. I don't know. But like I said, it didn't ruin the movie or anything. It's still a great movie. Go see it. I mean, definitely go see this movie. This movie had so much action. I'll just reiterate that. It was so entertaining. So I can't knock it for just the MJ's portrayal. There was a lot of Nick Fury in the movie. They actually gave the character of Maria Hill a little bit more, gave her a lot more to do than she's had to do since, I guess, the Avengers. So I was happy about that. They kind of answered the question too. They have this global threat that they're dealing with in the movie, and these standalone movies, the question is always, why don't Iron Man or Thor or whoever, why don't they call the other Avengers for help? Well, they kind of played around with that idea in this movie, because that's exactly what Peter Parker asked Nick Fury. Why don't you bring in some of the other Avengers? It seems like they would be better at dealing with this than me. And he had some answer for him, something about them being occupied. Kind of BS on the whole, but at least they addressed it. So overall, great movie, great summer movie, action-packed, interesting ideas. Spider-Man in a fresh location. I know I've read a few reviews saying the movie was very funny. I wouldn't necessarily call it funny. It's more amusing, but there is some humor in it. So, and like I said, don't get out of your seat till the credits are at least about halfway done, because you're gonna want to see that mid-credit scene, because it's very interesting what happens to Peter Parker. But that's all I got for today. I'd like to thank my sponsors, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give me a like. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I hope you are having a good summer. I'm having a great summer. And that's all I got. Thank you for watching, and I will see you when I see you.